Oracles play a vital role in blockchain. They connect real-world off-chain information with on-chain data that we can then access and use pragmatically. RWA projects need it, traders need it, DeFi needs it, and a whole host of others need it too. And the best oracles in this space certainly have this characteristic, this feature, whereby they are always continuously improving themselves. They are always updating and improving their features and seeking out new partnerships and integrations. So much so that sometimes keeping up with all the improvements can be difficult and we tend to lose track. Today we're looking at 3 top oracles in the space. These altcoins specifically are the leaders in their designated category. We're going to break them down and look at fundamentally what they're doing right and see how they earned that spot of, again, the top 3 in the blockchain/cryptocurrency oracle space. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck if you choose to invest. I do wish you well. Just remember that I'm not a financial or investment advisor. And so keep in mind as well that this video is not official financial or investment advice. Have you checked out our new trading section in Discord yet? Because starting this week, we now have a dedicated trading section to discuss all things altcoins and technical analysis. And on top of that, our very own Cody is giving his personal trading setups that he's actually taking in real time that you can follow along with, as well as educational videos to help you get started with trading. If you're not a trader, don't worry. We have sections on Bitcoin, altcoins, gaming, and NFTs as well. It's all for free. Join us in Discord today. Check out the link in the description below. The first crypto oracle that we're considering today is Flare Network. Their primary goal is to use blockchain to move data wherever you want. So that includes on-chain, off-chain, as well as in between different chains as well. This means that the project has features in common with bridges and with oracles, all while being an EVM layer 1 blockchain. Their oracle is the FTSO, or Flare Time Series Oracle. Flare uses its validators as data providers too. This lets them offer decentralized time series data. Time series is stuff like crypto or stock prices, a specific price at a specific time. We caught up with Flare co-founder Hugo Filion at Token 2049 in Singapore recently and asked him a few questions.
So I think there's a lot of things missing for adoption. First of all, ease of use is probably the key thing. Until we have ease of use, it'll be really impossible to get people that don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about how to store a private key into Web3. But probably more importantly is fantastic applications that are interesting. There's a limited number of people in the world that care about having sovereign money, and there's a limited number of people in the world that care or want to in any way interact with financial protocols. So the principal use case for blockchain today is DeFi, but that is not a strong enough, that is not an interesting enough thing for people to spend their vast amounts of time getting to use. So I think in order to achieve much better adoption, we need ways to build much more interesting applications. Those applications are applications that will need to be able to handle large amounts of data, and require large amounts of computation. So no blockchain is currently able to handle that. You couldn't build, something like Instagram on any blockchain. To give you an example, to store 1 gigabyte of data on Ethereum would cost about $60 million. To store 1 gigabyte of data on Solana would cost about $10 million. And so we're looking at Flare at an environment where we can enshrine application logic into the chain, but we can shift the computation and the data storage off-chain to verifiable compute, so that suddenly people can build really good games, really good social media that is uncensorable. And then obviously financial aspects around that, because that's fundamentally what the blockchain is for. But it will only get mass adoption when we have things that many people want to interact with.
So as Hugo said here when we caught up with him at Token 2049 in Singapore, the lack of interesting apps that are useful to people is the key here. And he mentions that ease of use is also a key variable, yet we all know that if the app is worth using, then people will learn how to use it, even if there is a steeper learning curve. Hugo makes a great point about the cost of storing data on layer 1 chains today. He says that would make creating a blockchain version of Instagram impossible. Not a bad insight.
Okay, so Flare is layer 1 EVM chain with enshrined oracles. The first thing we are building ourselves is what we call an over-collateralized bridge. This is to enable people to trustlessly use Bitcoin, XRP, and Doge on Flare in DeFi and be confident that when they want to come back to their chain, they will actually get that XRP, Bitcoin, and Doge back. So that's critical. That's the first thing that's going live sort of later this year. And then, we're working on off-chain verifiable compute with one of our partners, Google Cloud. We have quite a fun hackathon in November around that. And then the thing that we're really looking forward to is how can artificial intelligence be used to make blockchain easier to access. So give you an example of an area that appeals to me is, how can I use ChatGPT to interact with the blockchain? Rather than having to go to MetaMask, faff around with the front end, can we integrate, can we use AI to get better adoption? And then the second question is, how can we use, blockchains to make artificial intelligence better? That's a much longer term question, vast amount of research that needs to go into that, but we have some initial thoughts.
Hugo talks here about people being able to access data anywhere. This includes their over-collateralized bridge. Over-collateralized just means more than a 1-to-1 ratio when you bridge. So it means extra security and confidence that when you bridge back your Bitcoin or Doge, the coins are there for you to use as you see fit. The off-chain computation is Flare's solution to the Instagram problem that I mentioned earlier. Much of that computation and storage can happen off-chain. Then you use blockchain for what it does best as a distributed network. He also talks about how to use AI to make using and accessing blockchain easier. And on the other side of this, if we can use blockchain to make AI data more decentralized, well, that's a good thing and a win as well.
Absolutely. So, on Flare we have a lending market called Kinetic. We have several good dexes, one of which is called SparkDex, one of which is called BlazeSwap, one of which is called Enosis. SparkDex are also building a perps protocol. RainDex are building on Flare a really nicely abstracted trading system. So you can essentially create trading strategies with a very simple language. And what else? Let me try and find an example outside of Flare. Obviously the OGs like Aave are fantastic, but they're probably getting a bit, not that exciting anymore. DeFi is kind of, sort of running its course in terms of how far it's, how much growth it's experiencing currently. It had a very fast growth curve, and now it's kind of flattening out. I'm looking for things that are fundamentally interesting. I think probably prediction markets will be a big theme for the next year, because I think blockchains create a market, a very nice market, and a marketplace for those kind of things.
Hugo mentions DeFi here, including protocols like Aave and prediction markets. Both have their potential. He also talks about some Flare ecosystem projects like Lending Market, Kinetic, Dexes, and SparkDex, and RainDex. RainDex in particular allows for the programming and creation of custom trading strategies. And certainly that can be pretty useful if you're an advanced trader. We're going to have an article on our website, altcoinbuzz.io, shortly with a link to our entire interview here with Hugo. Don't miss it because he represents here an up-and-coming project in one of the hottest sectors in the industry. And Flare's native token, FLR, is available on many of your favorite exchanges. It sits right now at 1.4 cents with a $720 million market cap. At number 2 here, we are looking once again at Pyth Network. PYTH is the ticker. This is another one of the leading oracles out there. In fact, if we consider Pyth as measured by market cap, it occupies the second spot right behind Chainlink at over $1 billion right now. Pith also concentrates specifically on financial data. It's very active in DeFi, and the current market leader, Chainlink, tends to cover a much broader range of areas, and that allows Pith to be much more specialized. Now, some key factors for oracles tend to be their speed and cost. So when we look at speed, Pith is actually one of the faster oracles around. Its price feeds update every 300 milliseconds. On Solana, just for context here, it's every 400 milliseconds. Chainlink, going even further down the spectrum, updates around every hour on Ethereum. On Solana, that's every 5 seconds, and it's important to remember here that Pith does in fact run on Solana, plus another 75 plus chains. Chainlink, by contrast, is available on around 20 chains. Pith also uses first-party data providers. Most other oracles use third-party providers, meaning Pith gets its information straight from the exchanges or other financial institutions. Other oracles use data oracles like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. Let me also say something here about cost, because Solana is not only faster than Ethereum, as you know, but as you probably also know, it's much cheaper. And therefore, as a result, Pith also has the upper hand here. It can offer faster and cheaper services than Ethereum-based oracles. Last month in September, Pith saw some pretty impressive updates, including 12 new integrations, 3 new data providers added, and 2 new blockchains integrated. There's also a new setup for staking your Pith, again PYTH, and earning rewards. Already we have 237,000 Pith that have been distributed as rewards. This new setup is Oracle Integrity Staking, OIS, and you can get rewards and take part in governance as well. If we look at the current price of PYTH, it sits just below 30 cents as I record, with a market cap of $1.087 billion. However, just something to note here, it only has 36% of its tokens in circulation. That is 3.6 billion out of a max of 10 billion. So that's not a great metric here. Each year on the 20th of May, it has a massive unlock. That's for another 3 years. So that's not great. Again, these are not ideal tokenomics. It is otherwise a very strong project, but not too impressive here on the side of the tokenomics. Keep in mind that its all-time high of Pith, that is, was $1.20. So that's just about 4 times from where we currently sit.
And so if this market pulls back hard under this level and then consolidates and comes back, we're likely to sell and stall.
Okay, and last but not least here, if we're talking about leaders in the crypto oracle space, we have to discuss the undisputed leader, that is Chainlink. And the biggest recent news here for Chainlink is actually pretty massive, very impressive actually. We're doing an entire video on this topic next week, so stay tuned for that. But Chainlink is partnering with Swift for cross-border transfers using crypto payment rails. This is a really big deal. It's almost impossible to overstate what a big deal this is. And that's because anyone who has ever tried to send money to someone else in another country, regardless of what currencies we're talking about, they know what a big pain this is. And they know this is one of the first places where crypto crushes legacy competitors with product market fit. And Chainlink's oracles are the longest operating in the market. More stablecoins are hitting the market too, which is good for Chainlink. Many, like this one in Hong Kong, are using Chainlink's services to show proof of reserves. And since it's a centralized stablecoin like USDT and USDC, they need it. Solve Protocol has a wrapped Bitcoin product, and it's using Chainlink's CCIP, or cross-chain interoperability protocol. They're going to be able to move assets, including Solve BTC, across chains. Look, it seems like every week Chainlink has one of these big announcements, but the fact of the matter is that the Link token, LINK, is only barely sitting above $6.5 billion in market cap. At the end of the day, if you like what oracles do as blockchain infrastructure, or if you're high on the new stablecoin options that are out there, or you're a fan, generally speaking, of RWA projects, then you must consider Link, LINK, as a serious addition to your altcoin portfolio. I remain a big fan of Chainlink. It's about 5 times off its all-time high. And just my personal bias here, perhaps, but I think it's safe to say we're going to see new all-time highs in this upcoming crypto bull cycle for Chainlink.